ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone. We are having an in-person meeting after a long time. Nowadays, so used to speaking on Zoom. Even many of my office work, everything is on Zoom only. So, seeing people in front, it gives a different feeling suddenly. Somehow, after the pandemic, what happened is even in our work life, this online became a more regular feature than before. It was not there so much. And nowadays it became the easiest thing. In office, in my college, I address 500, 600 students many times for either my philosophy course or as part of my work. So previously we used to get everybody in the auditorium and then talk, 1,000 students and all that. All that stopped now. So everything is also addressing all 1,000. So yeah, so we have been doing Bhagavad Gita, different parts of it since a very long time. So today what we are actually going to do is we are going to look at something from the 8th chapter. Obviously this is Ramanujacharya's commentary. It's a very interesting commentary because the second part of the 8th chapter because you may wonder if those of you who have studied 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita, you would know that in the beginning Arjuna is asking questions, right? Kim tad brahma, kim adhyatma, kim karma purushottama, adi both, all that, right? Prayana kale chatakadam, at the time of death, what happens? He's asking all that. And if you carefully see, everything is answered by 8.5, 8.6. Krishna is saying Aksharam Paramam Brahma, everything Fatafat Krishna is answering. And then from 8.8 onwards, there is such a, the entire chapter, so many things are being said. And many times you may wonder, and towards the end, all this stuff about that if you quit the body at a particular, in this particular situation, then you will go here, otherwise here. So it seems very confusing actually. But you also must have gone through it. Ramanujacharya's commentary, when we studied, it made it so interesting. That whole part suddenly came to life. And then I suddenly realized Prabhupada also many things. In that purport, if you see about that light, he's saying the same thing, which we didn't really understand. And Prabhupada quotes that in the purport also, but just one line he says, these are actually the devatas. He writes that actually there. But anyway, so we will come to that. So of course, I'm not going to do that in detail today because the detail I will continue in that because that we'll have to go very slowly, verse by verse, what I'm doing. We have done till now 6 chapters only. I want to give an overview of that 8th chapter part. But before coming to that, there is one topic that is connected to it. Let's start with that. Then I will come into the Gita. This is the point that I was raising today also when somebody asked that question, right, about Gaurav Ganadesh Deepika, whether Jai Vijay only came as Jagai Madai. So I think I was making the point that when we read scriptures in general, there is fact centered and there is feeling centered. Correct? And there are these two things. The beauty of Bhagavad Gita is that it's simultaneously fact and feeling centric. That means both are getting addressed together. The general understanding in our scriptures is, if you read some technical scripture like Vedanta Sutra, Upanishad, Nyaya Shastra, they are more fact centric. And if you read the Puranas in general, they are generally feeling centric, because the whole purpose of the Purana is to invoke some rasa in the hearer. Okay, so they may kind of sideline certain facts and kind of that doesn't assume importance there. The whole thing is the feeling, how to invoke that in you. I mean, classic example, if you read Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is so much of feeling, right? So much of rasa is there in it. Correct. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, the way he describes, if you go into it and ask certain facts about how come the population of Navadvip was so much at that time, and then you're finished. Like you're completely lost. You've lost it completely, right? So there is fact and feeling. The interesting thing is both of these are very important in life. So that is why our scriptures are like this. It is either fact and feeling, both are important. Okay. So just to start from something which is a modern day phenomena, this whole gender neutrality, which is quite popular in the world today. Yeah, we will see. If it is troubling too much, then I'm going to off it. So it's giving me signs that I live better without it. That's good indication. Yeah. So in this, what I was saying, yeah, this gender neutrality, this entire controversy, if you would have gone through it, most of the people, at least the liberals, these even the judges, when they made certain statements, they made it very feeling centric, right? For example, they say that whichever gender you identify yourself at a particular time, you are that. Correct? That's what they say, right? I mean, that's what they actually say. Okay, I don't know whether I told it here. I may have told it, but I will say it again. My son was attending this, there was an online seminar or something. So there was this gender neutral kind of proponent, one professor who was talking. So she was saying that anytime your gender may change. It's called gender fluidity. It looks very funny, but people are very serious about it. I mean, I'm in my school WhatsApp group, so there about 150 of us are there. So we keep discussing many issues. That's like another QLA for me. I first to do it like that. Okay. So there, we were discussing this, and I was so surprised to see so many of my school friends. They're very serious about it. Actually, I mean, here most of us devotees, we are just laughing it out. That what nonsense this is. But people are actually serious about such things when they talk. Okay, they said that no, we should respect this particular view and all that. Okay, they got gender fluidity. That means you can move between genders at any time in life. Okay. In US, there is a very interesting case. We'll come back to Bhagavad Gita, don't worry. Somebody may say, class may everything is connected to Gita only. It will just take some time to come. Okay. In the US, there was this very famous person. I'll put it up also. He was a swimmer. He was a biologically male guy only. But suddenly he said, I'm female. He said, I identify myself as female. And he actually started participating with females in the swimming competition. And in the male, he was coming some 23rd, 25th in that swimming race. Here he was first. 6 feet 4 inches. Proper biological male. As male as any gentleman sitting in the swimming. But he said, I am identifying now as a female. That is what I am identifying. And these people seriously accepted it. They said, no. And then that girl who came second, previously she was first. So she was objecting, this is not correct, and all that. And they said, hey, come on, you can't be so attached to your coming first and all. She is only the first. So that was it. So it's very serious. I mean, too many foolish people are there in the world around, right? So It's all feeling, 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 feeling. Okay, so I was saying that this teacher was telling that whichever gender you identify, you are that. I'm surprised it's off. What's the problem? It's off. Yeah, no, you can take off that also. Hopefully, now it will be quiet. We use नहीं कर रहे हो या भाई? I'm sorry. So then one student actually asked that professor or whatever, that, in case. So suppose if I identify myself tomorrow as a girl, can I get entry in the girls' hostel? you know, why are you forcing me in the boys' this thing? So then that person became quite angry, offended, or whatever. The professor started saying, "Hey, come on, just stop this. Just mute everybody. Be serious. Try to understand this concept first. Don't ask some ridiculous question." The question was actually genuine, but the person did like it because whole bhul gaya unka ya whatever. Okay. So let's try to understand. So this feeling centric approach which is there now, this is very, very common. Okay, and let's not again think that it may not happen with kind of devotees, etc. It is not like that. It happens as well. So I'll give you some examples of that as well. So even because the thing is, ultimately we are living in a world where we are actually affected by what is going on outside. We cannot just imagine just because we are devotees, we have a particular lifestyle, we are not affected at all by material trends in the world. ऐसा नहीं होता. Correct? You get affected. So even within our organization or whatever, also you will get affected. Okay, so that will happen. Okay. And this feeling which is there now, this comes in many ways where people actually get either offended or they become very strong on issues. So this happens always. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So just like Maharaj, when he writes in that Journey Home book, right, he says that I got Hare Krishna Mahamantra from the Ganga. He writes that, right? If you remember reading it, he writes that I heard it from the Ganga initially. There was some very some other devotees. They didn't like that at all. They said, how can Maharaj say that he heard it from the Ganga? He should have heard it from Prabhupada first. Because Prabhupada gave Hare Krishna Mahamantra to the world. And these are very senior people. I'm not even quoting their names who said that. But they openly kind of confronted Maharaj on this issue. How could you write like that? Should have written that Prabhupada gave you the Mahamantra. How can anybody other than Prabhupada give you the Mahamantra? So, well, he may have not said anything, but the simple fact is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is an eternal mantra, right? It's always there. It can come up in so many ways. Again, you have love for your spiritual master, but then you cannot make it like, again, that's a feeling only. Please remember, this is coming from feeling. Emphasizing your feeling for your guru over certain basic facts of Sanatana Dharma, where you have forgotten only that. Are you getting it? Right? And emphasizing that too much, it becomes an issue. So even this Guru Bhakti, which is there now many times, it is feeling driven. But when it gets disassociated with certain underlying facts, then it can seem extremely fanatical. Right? So just to give one or two more examples. On Facebook, this was there some time ago. I don't know how many of you saw it. Nobody posted in QA or anything. But these were Ritviks actually who did it. But extremely damaging, a way of reaching out to people, which unfortunately many other well-situated devotees also were supporting. So, they kind of made videos where, Prabhupada, he's giving some, you can always find, right? Prabhupada is saying Jnani is, rascal or whatever. Then they show some Jaggi Vasudev's photo. Then they say Mayavadis are nonsense. Sarva Priyananda is a very famous preacher in Ramakrishna, Sarva Priyananda. They show his photo saying that, see, our Swamiji has said this. And many people, many of ISKCON devotees also who claim in the chat, etc., comments, they said that yes, this is correct. You should call out everybody. If he's rascal, we have to call him out a rascal. Others said that, others on Facebook comment, they say we'll take you to the court now. Just wait and see for defamation. So basically, so what happens is many times now these are also coming from feeling only. You are having a particular feeling towards your guru. That feeling is so overwhelming, you have forgotten some basic facts of even civil behavior in terms of how you represent yourself, in a public place, etc. And you have gone overboard just because you feel so much for your guru. You have forgotten essential facts totally. Okay, so this is where the feeling fact thing comes up, and this keep coming all the time, right? This is not just with these two examples. I mean, you can we can go on just discussing only about this. How sometimes a very emotional, touchy point, because you feel very strongly about it, you just forget some basic facts of life only. Okay? So this can happen in human relationships, in spiritual organizations, everywhere it can happen, because as humans, most of the time we tend to be emotional, right? In our real world dealing, we tend to be like that. So that feeling, that overwhelming feeling just carries us away, right? And then we forget only certain basic things which we should take care of, etc., right? Whether it is human dealing, preaching, whatever. Okay, so this could come in many places, and this can come even with death, right? So in death also, in the when you talk about death as well, sometimes this feeling thing is exploited so much by many religious systems. They make that entire death into a narrative only, because it touches people's heart and feeling. Like, I was hearing this and kind of maybe want to confirm a little bit more, but it was very interesting that in the Christian Vatican, it seems what they do is they anoint people as a saint, right? It seems they do that only after they are dead and gone. When they are alive, they don't proclaim anybody to be a saint, because they fear that if you proclaim somebody to be a saint when he's alive, he can become a competitor to Jesus Christ, as in he can become like a living Jesus or something. But when he's dead, it is very easy, to stamp him as a saint. I mean, chala gaya na already. So if you see their history now, they have done that with too many people in the past, where people, in fact, they must have fought against somebody or killed him, or so many things would have happened. When they were alive, it must have been a torture only for them to live. But after they are dead, they appropriate their whole legacy, call that person as a saint, says that he's a saint now, and all that. And these things also touch the heart of people. They say that, oh, you have accepted such a person as a saint or whatever. So they just keep it at that level itself, right? Now the Gita, the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita coming to the Gita is in the first chapter. It's okay. Only there's one guy is there, so it's fine. As long as there's no army over here, it's fine. Yeah, we have seen better things. Yeah, so in the Gita, if you see now, the first chapter, Bhagavad Gita, essentially Arjuna is talking about his feelings. His feelings are coming out. He is feeling for his grandfather and teacher. Essentially, it is about his feelings, right? He is, at least a large part of his arguments are centered around his touchy feelings towards his grandfather and teacher. That is why he is refusing to fight, right? I mean, that's his weak point. And we know that Krishna also exploits that in 1.24, where he brings the chariot right in front of Bhishma and Drona and say, hey, look, Partha, led by Bhishma and Drona, all the Kurus are assembled here, Krishna says. Right. And this guy, and we know the arguments also. As we go in the second chapter, also, you see that, Arjuna is telling Krishna that, hey, what is this? Krishna, you are Arisudana, Madhusudana, you kill big, big demons only. And you are expecting me to, fight against my grandfather and teacher who are worthy of worship. So basically, it's a very emotional presentation, a large part of it. Other than the part where he talks about the Kula Dharma and that Varna Sankara part, which has been accepted by everybody in their commentary as a genuine point, which he said, Arjuna said, that Kula Dharma will get destroyed, Varna Sankara will happen because of such a widespread destruction of dynasty, etc. Other than that, none of the other arguments which Arjuna has said, any of the acharyas have taken that very seriously, as in, because it's not fact based at all. It's coming out of a strong emotion towards his grandfather and teacher, right? So that's how it is. And that is why we see Krishna, the first thing that he speaks in Gita is Sankhya. If you see Sankhya, Sankhya is also called as counting. And counting is extremely fact-based, right? In counting, there can be no feeling. If there are 24 elements, there are 24 only. It's not that I am feeling that there should be 28 at least, what is, or I feel that, some of these are not to be counted. No, nothing. It's extremely fact-based, right? So that's how Arjuna, that's how Krishna starts his entire conversation, right? With Arjuna. He is making it extremely like that. So So we will go on to the Gita now. So we'll just, I'll just start with that before I come to this. So, so we are looking at verse 2.10 of Bhagavad Gita, where, yeah, this is actually spoken by Sanjay, where he saying, Tamovacha Rishikesha Prahasyan Niva Bharata Senayor Rupayor Mati Vishidanta Midam Vachaha. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So that is where Krishna smiles and then he starts speaking. So as I was saying, the Gita is now going to address both these things, right? Fact as well as we'll give some examples for that. But first thing about the smiling, okay, the smiling is again addressing the heart, it's addressing an emotion. So I'll just speak a little about that and then go ahead in this point. So Ramanuja, he gives around 7-8 reasons why Krishna is smiling. Okay, when Krishna smiles, all acharyas like to give a lot of commentary about why he's smiling. So first thing he says is, Krishna was thinking that this is so funny, and just like this is funny because someone who know very well, if he starts speaking something very foolish, okay, then you start smiling, right? So that's the first reason he says why Krishna smiles. Someone you know very closely, some very close friend, relative, start speaking something stupid in front of you, then what do? You start smiling. Why is he talking about? First reason he says why Krishna smiles. Then he saw the compassion of Arjuna that was misdirected. That is another reason he says why he started smiling. Then Ramanuja says Krishna started smiling because of contradictory statements of Arjuna. Because Arjuna, on one hand, he was feeling that I cannot kill Bhishma and Drona, which means he was identifying them more as the body. And on the other hand, he was talking about Pindadan, etc., which means he was having the understanding of Atma also. So Krishna felt this very contradictory. On one hand, you are talking about Pinda and next life. And on the other hand, you are limited to the body. Fourth reason Ramanuja says is that preaching has to be done always in a smiling fashion. Hence, Krishna knew that I'm going to start preaching now. So he started smiling. Fifth reason he says Krishna became Acharya for the first time in this incarnation. So he thought that the first time, I have become Acharya. Till now, I did so many things in this Leela. 90 years I am in this world. I, stole butter, had so many pastimes with my friends in Vrindavan. All this I did. But nobody gave me the position of an Acharya till now. I have got that position. So he started smiling. And the sixth reason he says is, the Lord thought that I can actually, changing Arjuna's mind is very easy for me. In 1 second, I can do a sankalpa that Arjuna's mind will change and his mind will change. But then I have to talk, not only consider him, but considering all the other people who are going to learn Bhagavad Gita. So he started smiling. And finally, seventh reason he says Krishna started smiling, thinking that I have only caused all this confusion in Arjuna's mind, and now I am only going to resolve it by speaking externally. So it is quite funny. On one hand, I only caused the problem in his mind by confusing him, and I am only now externally going to give instructions and make him pacified. So he started smiling. And the final reason, Sanjay is saying that Krishna was smiling to tell Dhritarashtra that, hey, Dhritarashtra, don't look at the smile as a smile. This is the laughter of Narsimhadev. So don't look at it just as some small smile, oh, Krishna is smiling or something. This is the beginning of this laughter of Narsimhadev, and there is going to be a huge destruction. Okay. So many reasons given for just one thing, smile, right? But anyway, the point is, immediately after this, what does Krishna do if you see? He starts chastising Arjuna, right? Asocha nanva sochastam prajna vadam cha vachase gatasuna gatasum cha nanu sochanti pandita. He just chastises it, saying that, you're speaking so many big words, but you're mourning for that which is not worthy of grief. Okay, you're not supposed to lament neither for the living nor the dead. So in this way, immediate response of Krishna to Arjuna's mostly emotional outpour was a fact-based, presentation. But then the beauty of the Gita is that life cannot only be fact-based, because fact-based is very boring. It is not very interesting. You need emotion. Okay, you need the emotion of bhakti, etc. So that thing basically becomes the feeling center. Right? which comes up in the Gita later. So in this way, if you see carefully, na, the Gita, time and again, it is addressing both of these things, fact and feeling. So I'll just take one more example in the Gita, where fact feeling is being addressed before we come to this 8th chapter, which is the main topic for the day. This is a very interesting section that I like very much. You know, it is between 9.16 and 9.22. You know, Krishna, I mean, just to appreciate, you know, how Krishna's presentation is. So Krishna, if you see in the 9th chapter, when he's talking about the Supreme, what does he do? Initially, he starts talking things about how you see Krishna in a very fact-based manner. Okay, like I'll give you examples of the verses. Krishna says, Aham kratur aham yajna sudaham aushadam mantroham evakyam aham agniraham hutam pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitra munkara riksama. If you see that series of verses now, what is Krishna saying in that? Krishna is basically saying, like for example, we take example one by one. Krishna is saying, I am medicine. Aham aushadam. That means what? If you are sick, you have to take a medicine. But in that medicine, you have to see me. That is what Krishna says, right? You Vedya, that Aushada, as you take, you're supposed to see that Narayan is in this Aushada who is curing me. Similarly, mantroham aham evakyam. Mantra means he's saying here, this mantra is referring to all types of mantras in the Veda, correct? So there's so many mantras in the Vedas, right? In fact, Krishna is saying that I am the Veda itself. Krishna is saying I am the ritual. Okay. So the point is, so let's say somebody has some problem and they have gone to an astrologer or something. Like we know Prabhupada's story only, I'll take that. You know, Prabhupada in 1977, the story is there that I think it was September, when he's very sick, he calls an astrologer. That astrologer, what he does is he says that you have this planetary issue. So he suggests a blue sapphire, which he has to wear. Okay, some sapphire, blue color money, Neel or something, to counteract some planet. Okay, and Prabhupada also accepts it. Then Prabhupada tells Kamakrishna Maharaj and others that find out the best place where they, you know, we don't want to get cheated. They're ready to pay money, but we want the proper whatever that sapphire is. And they spend a lot of money and get that, and Prabhupada wears that also. Right? So the thing is, or in some other case, let's say somebody may be given a mantra to chant. Somebody may be told that you have an issue with this particular planet or something. So here is a mantra for Surya or something like that. You have to say this 10 times a day to get relief from that. So what we understand in this 9.16 section is all that is to be seen as Krishna only. Are you getting it? This is like a fact-centric way of seeing Krishna in the universe. The medicine is Krishna. The jewel I wear is Krishna. The mantra that I have to chant to cure my problem is Krishna. If somebody has to do a ritual, you know, ritual means it could be anything. Somebody has purchased a new house, he has to do some shanti, something, you know, some ritual he's doing. You know, that ritual is also Krishna only. Okay, so all that is seen is Krishna. So it's like a very rule-based thing, correct? And similarly, if somebody wants emotions, then Krishna is saying in the next life, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha. You know, I am the father, I am the mother, I am this, that. So, you know, we all know this. You know, everyone gets that support from their parents, etc. Right? That matritva, it nourishes us. I mean, it's a fact of life. All of us know this very well. That you know, when your mom is there, no matter how old we are, right? When you go to your mother's place, you may be 40, 45, whatever. Your mother may be 75, but still she will show that matritva, correct? Pitritva, etc. Their parents will always show that. Okay. So what we understand here is that is also Krishna only. Okay, one is supposed to see that. So if you see these verses now, in one way, one kind of understanding that we can get is Krishna, what is basically telling us in this life, you will need medicines, you will need mantras, you will need rituals, you will need an occupation, you will need some ability, you will need your parents, relatives. In all that, you are supposed to see Krishna in that, right? In that matratva, pitratva, in that aushadha, everything. But then very soon what Krishna does, interestingly, in 9.22, he says, Ananyas chintayan tomam ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamya. He says, But for those who worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So basically, here what he's saying is, so here he's apparently indicating that somebody who is constantly worshipping me, I take complete care of them. I take their complete responsibility. They may not even take an aushadhi. So just like if you have read this Jagannath Das Babaji's life history, he says that he had a servant called Bihari Das. Okay, so the story is that this Jagannath Das Babaji was double bent as in he had two bends, because he was like 147-year-old or whatever. And this was towards the last part of his life. So last 20 years, there was this servant called Bihari, his name was Bihari Das. He would give Babaji Maharaj in a tokri and keep him on his head and walk around. So this is how he was living. So on one occasion, it is said that this Bihari Das had high fever. And Jagannath Das Babaji, what he did, he understood that his servant is sick. So it is said that he kept his hand on the servant's chest and he chanted for 4 hours, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. And this person recovered. He just recovered. They said that he had some high fever, but he just recovered. So we will see stories like these, right? These are following 9.22, correct? But the thing is it based on a real fact of life the way it is? No, it is not. So Krishna has already said, for most common people, you will have to take Aushadha only. You will have to take an Aushadha and see in that Aushadha there is Krishna and be happy in that. But somebody who is exclusively devoted, such a person, he can do all this. For him, he may, Krishna may violate that law that he has to actually take an Aushadha or something. And by his chanting only, he treated his personal servant. And that person stood up and he was like, fine, again started taking Babaji Maharaj on his head and started going around. Right. So what I'm using this for is to contrast how the Gita simultaneously it is talking about very, very basic facts of life. That you need to have an ability, you need to have a swadharma, you need to take medicine, you need to do a ritual, you need to chant some mantra, you need to do all this. And in all this, see me, Krishna is saying. And then he's also saying, but if someone is like this, then don't worry. Then that person may not, it's not that he's thinking that I want that Krishna only should do everything for me, but he's so helplessly lost. Like we know Madhavendra Puri's story, right? He's sitting on the bank of Govinda Kunda. He's not even aware that he's hungry. He's just chanting over there without even being aware that the time has passed for my prasad. Nothing. He's just chanting. So then what happens? Krishna himself comes with that matka, right? Like a gopa. He comes and says that, someone has sent me with milk for you because they told me that you haven't eaten anything. And Madhavendra was surprised. He says that who is this? That night he understands that that boy was actually Krishna who came and gave him. Okay, so the feeling centric thing is also addressed in the Gita very much, but it is on top of so many facts also which are said. So it's a very beautiful presentation if you see. So nobody can read Gita and become a Sahaja so easily thinking that, oh, now Krishna will only take care of me. And at the same time, nobody can read Gita and think that, Arey Baba, Krishna has no role only, everything is just hard work. No, it's not like that also. Okay, so Krishna has a role that he plays in the life of his pure devotees. Okay, so this way, the emotion is there in the Gita, but the emotion is standing on top of facts. Okay, and that facts are never going to get cancelled. Okay, like Arjuna, the fact, so that is why you see that in the Mahabharata also, sometimes all these Pandavas also, right, they become very emotional. And many times Krishna also understands they become temporarily emotional, so it doesn't take it very seriously. Like the classic example is when Dronacharya is killed, at that time what happens now? Arjuna starts blasting Yudhishthir. Why Yudhishthir? Because it was Yudhishthir who told that line that Ashwatthama is dead, because of which Drona put his weapons down, because of which he gave up his body, because of which Drishtadyumna come and chopped off his neck. So Arjuna starts chastising Arjuna, Yudhishthir, saying that what nonsense, just for a kingdom you have become such a liar. You lie to your guru, everything. You're not different than this Ram who was hiding and killing Vali, and Krishna is sitting there, the same Krishna. But Krishna doesn't take any of that seriously also. If you see the Mahabharata also, no? Because it is a fact that sometimes we get overwhelmed by feelings and say many things just like that. कुछ भी बोलते हैं हम, भक्ते बोलते हैं ना, कुछ भी बक रहा है बंदा. He has forgotten basic fact of life. This happens with everyone. And if you see the Mahabharata, it happens with Pandavas also so many times. Immediately of the war, Yudhishthira also is lamenting. He's saying that what is this? Kshatriya job is like just like these two dogs are there. Sometimes they're fighting over one bone or a piece of meat. Like that, our occupation is. Dikkare Kshatriya occupation. All that he's saying, Krishna doesn't say anything. He understands. This guy has got a little overwhelmed now. So ठीक है, मतलब होता है. So it happens with everybody in life. You know, you get sometimes overwhelmed by feelings, right? And you just say something like that. But if that becomes too serious, where you stop functioning, then Krishna has to intervene, and that happens with two times. One with Arjuna, when he became so dysfunctional because of his feeling, Krishna had to intervene, and with Yudhishthira also, because he became so dysfunctional because of that feeling that Kshatriya dharma is useless. Krishna understood. Now we have to take him to Bhishma. He needs one good lecture on Kshatriya dharma. You know, okay, temporarily just to say one line is okay. Like Arjuna also said something to Yudhishthira. Yeah, useless hai tu ye wo. But then immediately they recovered. They came back to the fact of life that, hey, come on, we are in a war. We have to kill this guy no matter what, right? So we can't go overboard with our feelings, right? So they immediately come back. So Krishna didn't tell anything to Arjun when this Dronacharya incident happened. But when the Yudhishthira, when he became overwhelmed with that feeling, na, that time it became too much because he became dysfunctional. So the point is, feelings are important, but when feelings make a person dysfunctional, then there is a problem, or either dysfunctional or improperly functioning in society. Correct? Improperly functioning in society, and this happens with people, right? Like so. I mean, since around 6 months, I'm giving this. Most of these classes I'm giving to a group of boys in temple. Right? They're saying yoga. They're generally the young boys who have quite fired up guys about Sharanagati, this, that. So last week when I was talking to them, some of them were seriously telling. They were saying that shouldn't Krishna take more active involvement in our lives and do something for us? So that feeling is good. So they're all nice devotees only. They have a good feeling towards Krishna as such. But then sometimes that feeling, when it goes too much, right, then you just forget some basic fact of life only. They are expecting, and some of them, when I was personally talking to them, I realized that they are expecting that even if they are doing some mistakes or some wrong decisions, they expect God to intervene and set that right, which is not based on correct facts. Are you understanding it? So the beauty of the Gita is it is teaching us feelings of bhakti without allowing us to forget facts of it. So this is something that I like. So when Krishna is, even in the 9th chapter, when Krishna is saying Ananyas Chintayan Tomam Yejana Paryupasate, such a high level verse, you can say, full of emotion, where he's saying that I'm going to come and do it. Appears as if you don't have to do anything. कुछ नहीं करना है तुमको. भगवान खुद आके सब कुछ करने वाले तुम्हारे लिए. But in that same chapter, he has said so many other things also. Right? So that balance that Krishna maintains between what you have to do, the hard facts of life, and what it is. So it doesn't allow anybody to. So if you see carefully, it's very difficult to become sentimental after reading Gita. So sometimes that's why you will see in Puranic literature, the possibility of Sahajaism arises. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Like somebody only reads Puranic literature, like we see this, right? We say Sahajiyas are there, who just dress like a gopi, this, that, or somebody who thinks that I'm pure devotee. These kind of Sahajiya thoughts can come sometimes if you're only reading Purana stories, because that is so overwhelmed with feeling, you may forget certain basic things totally, correct? But with Gita, it is impossible. With Upanishads, it is impossible. You will never have somebody who has studied the Upanishad, Gita, or Vedanta, and now is a Sahajiya. It is possible because it keeps you grounded with fact. But at the same time, those scriptures are important because they invoke that rasa in us, right? So that balance, so that right balance, right? So that is what we are talking about. Okay, so having spoken this much, okay, we'll just see if there are any questions, and then we will go ahead. So I have to go to that death. So I'll tell you how this is related to. Yeah. So just one more point I'll make, then I will take it ahead. Just give me 1 second. Some more thing I wanted to say. Yeah. This is 1 second, bro. Yeah. So this thing also, about death and so why I'll tell you why we are coming to 8th chapter, because sometimes it can happen, or it has happened also many times, that when someone passes away, especially when devotees pass away, etc. Many times, you know, people go to their guru and ask, where has he gone or whatever. They feel that we should ask this question. It becomes a very important question for people to ask. And most of the time, the standard answer which they would give is he was practicing nicely, so he's on the way to Krishna. Or sometimes they'll say that he has gone back to Godhead, and that kind of an answer is there. And based on hearing that, we feel, oh, this is very nice. So in that, what happens sometimes, so it's nice to feel good about whoever has passed away, that he has gone to a higher destination, or he has gone back to the spiritual world, etc. But the slight risk, I would say, there, or the fear is that sometimes it becomes like a narrative. You understand narrative, right? Narrative means we just forget about, even sometimes we even forget about the mistakes that person may have done in life, thinking that now none of that is important. It is just about dying and going to the spiritual world. So it becomes like a preaching tool like that at times, which makes it slightly dangerous. Okay. So anyway, so we will see about what Krishna has to say about death and journey in each chapter. But before that, any quick question or comment? 1 second, 1 second. Yeah, it's going online, but it's okay. You can ask. It's the same Zoom link. I have only one Zoom, which is my office Zoom, which is I don't know which is. Is that the question? Oh, sorry. Okay, next question. No, it is in my that I have that link is there, and that will be uploaded also. So many have said this actually happened when he got sick. Most probably that Varmashankar problem did not happen. How did Maharaj deal with it? What he said actually happened. How did they deal with it? Undro, once he was referring to this Kannada commentary. What he was saying is that Yudhishthir Maharaj's 36 years were filled with problems. Only towards the end of Parikshit Maharaj's 60-year-old rule, some stability started returning to society after 50, 60 years of the war. But by that time, he got cursed and he passed away. Kali Yuga started. So the point he was making is that, yes, that point was obviously valid. I mean, simple statistic over there says that millions of men died. You can imagine what will happen in society. Suddenly, millions of men are all dead. So many women are widow. There will be problem only, no? The problems were there. So that is where the concept of duality comes. Had you not fought the war, there would be another problem. Duryodhana ruling. If you fight the war, this is the problem. So the thing is, the lesser of the two evils was this, because that was too expensive in terms of having such a legacy of ruler only being a criminal sitting there. Struggling to follow dharma is better than being. Yeah. Yes. So it's the duality principle there we have to see. So that only that problem has been accepted by everybody. That Varna Sankara, Jati Dharma, which is there, that has been accepted by all. Even Prabhupada also in that purport says that Arjuna is the correct thing. You see that purport 1.37, 39 verse, where this Kula Dharma, Jati Dharma, where he says that part has been accepted by everybody. But other than that, other reasons were emotional. Yeah. The problem actually happened. Yeah, happened. They had to go through. Oh yeah, they had to go through a hell only. Obviously. Second question is, in this context, actually the problem is very big. But after this war, when Kali started, the bad forces are not able to unite. So damage was done so much to the bad forces that they were never able to recover and never able to unite. We were given the example of it in earlier days. Hiranyakashipu would know that what is going in your heart also. But even if you are Saudi Arabia, you are able to chant. You know what is going in your heart. So problems are there, but
they're not to that level, think that okay, our problems are very big, but the problem are even bigger.
The problem of Duryodhan ruling, you're saying, na? Yeah. That is correct. Yeah. Yeah. The united Adharmic forces was too much, because of which they decided. Yeah. Good point. Any other question? One second. One by one. Yeah, we have a lot of time.
The example that you gave for elderly people, you have to take risks, altered and very quick understand that get cured. I was thinking the example you just gave and just extending to the example, we see that people who are not the word and are very internally focused, they could do such things. But those who are dealing with the word externally focused, they were so-called uncommon happenings, they were not practicing, they were kind of following the
Yeah, perfect. Like you see Pandavas also, Yudhishthir Maharaj, simple thing, when he went to the forest, Akshay Patra he wanted, na? He petitioned the sun god only. And that was a mantra, it was a ritual. If you see that Daumya Rishi is telling that you petition sun god with these mantras, he will come and give you what you want. So he had to do that. That's a fact-based thing which Krishna says.
Because he was in a position where he was dealing with the word, he was following the normal.
Yeah.
But Shukdev was extremely internally focused. He was doing such things where he just chant and get people. He not stay at a place for long.
Yeah, maybe there are some examples of householders also who are like that.
This is what. Too much externally focused, you cannot do it.
Yeah, perfect. Agreed. I guess. You want to speak?
Next question is solution to the feelings issue. Is it counseling or
solution to the feeling issue is counseling. Yeah. It is counseling based on. See, that's what, nah. It's based. See, you should see how Krishna counseled Arjuna also. When Krishna did not completely, he kind of chastised him, but immediately came to basic facts of life. The Sankhya Yoga, he starts. And that Sankhya Yoga is extremely analytical. He's bringing him, and then he's talking about your Swadharma as a Kshatriya, which you cannot give up. He's talking extremely fact-based things, right? He's bringing him to the ground reality. Correct, na? So counseling based on all this only, real facts of life. What about because many times self-introspection is possible if you have had some education. No? Many times the self-introspection may not help if you are very emotional already. Like, you understand what I'm saying? So then it becomes very difficult. You will that introspection also. Yeah, you will reinforce your own feeling through that self-introspection. Imagine Arjuna was self-introspecting after first chapter. He would have gone mad only. Because he needed help, he needed another perspective. He needed a right perspective rather, because he was getting stuck in his own thing. Are you getting my point? Yeah, so that becomes very difficult. I remember this, Gaur Gopal Prabhu sometime back, I think it was on one of the shows. He was asked a question about how do you see Bhagavad Gita. He said, I remember the statement he made. He said that it was obviously not a devotee talk. It was some television show, I think Kapil Sharma, some show like that, not some other show. So he was saying that Bhagavad Gita is not a religious book, he said. So now this statement, many of our people, our regular guys, found it extremely difficult to take. They said, how can somebody say that it is not a religious book? Okay, so that is where you have got overboard with your feeling, because the fact of the matter, if you see also, the Gita is the Gita is Vyavahara Shastra also, so you can look at it as Vyavahara Shastra also. So what is the problem in that? But then you are so much feeling with that emotion, this is pure devotional service only. इसको तुम व्यवहार बोल के इसको तुम नीचा कर रहे हो. Are you getting the point, na? So you just want to cancel that whole thing only, and then you assault the person. Are you getting it? So this is what I'm saying. So self-introspection sometimes it may not help only because this person will keep self-introspecting. He needs another dimension. He has to hear, He has to hear something more grounded.
वो एक अलग डोमेन है.
No, no,
How do we know that is not?
no. So the thing is, he forgot what it is.
You are saying that some insiders felt that they are so overwhelmed by emotions, they could not take.
They could not take it
So why-
because you're calling it a Vyavahara Shastra, na?
How do we know that he did not get overwhelmed by taking such circles so often at such extended period? So he got overwhelmed by that.
No, but I mean, it is impossible for me to understand what is going on in another person's heart.
I mean,
How can I comment on that? I can never say that.
just like they're commenting on people insiders who were overwhelmed.
But here there was a criticism on him. Are you getting
He
the
did not
point?
criticize.
No, he did not.
Okay.
Where he said that you people by talking only Sarva Dharman is wrong. No, that was not said.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So
He just
Correct.
made a point.
yeah, he made a point. Moved on. But you have got stuck with that. Are you getting it? You have got stuck with that because and factually speaking, it is also Vyavahara Shastra.
It is good.
Okay, yeah, but it starts off as a Vyavahara Shastra primarily. So that also you are unable to accept
Yeah.
only. ऐसा हो गया ना फिर.
It's not that it's not accepting.
हाँ, yeah, but you are not able to accept it only ना ऐसा हो जाता. Yeah. Any other question? No, he didn't use. अभी वो public में कैसे बोलने का ना? No, he was saying it is not a religious book. It is a book of life. It is a book that teaches you how to live. वही है ना व्यवहार मतलब that becomes the technical book. It is about how you live your life. See, he's giving the motivational talks now. So there he's saying it is a book about how you live the world. So that's fine. But then sometimes what happens, we have given a particular status to the Gita. And we feel that anything less than that, if anybody says, then I'm going to attack him. So that becomes because of your overwhelming feelings where you have forgotten certain underlying facts also. That factually speaking, correct, the Gita is addressing the Vyavahara right from beginning till the end. Yeah, no. Religious as in spiritual or, in that sense, faith centric, right? That part is there in the Gita. Nobody is saying it is not, correct? But that was not the goal with which Krishna started speaking. Krishna started speaking as a Vyavahara only. But because life has everything in it, na? With Vyavahara, Bhakti is also part of it. So automatically Krishna ke discussion mein aa gaya wo sab. Like if you see the progress of the Gita, na, one by one everything came up. Ultimately, the idea of surrender to the Lord also came because that is also life. Life ka part hai wo, how you reach Sharanagati. Correct. It became a very seamless discussion between two people, Krishna and Arjuna. But the point is, if we we cannot deny that part also, na? So that is what happens. So sometimes people deny. They feel that. So sometimes what happens, because of your excessive love for the Gita or excessive love for the pure devotion part of life, you cannot accept that Gita, you cannot accept giving any status lesser than that to the Gita. Are you understanding the point here? Someone's getting a point here. Yeah? Yeah.
Gita,
Yeah, one second, I'll just take it.
Like you said that Yajna, ritual, mantras, they can be seen as Krishna.
Yeah, Krishna is saying that. I'm not saying. He's saying.
So is it that many people are also doing it as a part
Yes.
of their life?
Yes.
They are not conscious of it, they not the benefit. Consciously when this Yajna, mantra,
Yeah.
ritual as Krishna, then only you get connected. Otherwise it remains a ritual.
No, it's not like that. If you do all those rituals and all that, without seeing Krishna in that, it becomes what Krishna says in the 9th chapter, Avidhi Purvakam. Avidhi Purvakam means incomplete. It is not that it doesn't have benefit. It will have benefit, but you have not connected it to transcendence. See, please try to understand. Yudhishthira Maharaj is worshipping sun god. Some other common man may also be worshipping sun god. What is the difference? Yudhishthira Maharaj, though is worshipping sun god, petitioning him to give Surya this thing, that Akshay Patra or whatever, he was conscious about that whole connection. Where is the sun in relation to the Supreme Lord? Sab kuch perfectly conscious. So he's not doing Avidhi Purvakam. Avidhi Purvakam, Krishna uses that word, na?
Yes.
Avidhi Purvakam means, yeah, Devata worship, incomplete. So the other person may do it. It's not that he will not get the benefit. He will get the limited benefit and be stuck there. But if you connect it to the transcendence, then you go even higher. You become like it becomes pure devotion. Because what is Krishna saying in the 9th chapter? See, 9th chapter is most confidential knowledge. Krishna is saying, Ekatvena pritatvena bahuda vishwato mukha. You can worship me in the impersonal form, pritatvena. You can worship me in the form of various devatas, bahuda vishwato mukham, universal form. Krishna has said that. Na? In the 9th chapter, he has said it, not in initial chapters. But then you have to do it with that understanding of that connection. When you forget that connection, then you are avidhi purvakam. You will get limited benefit, you are stuck. It doesn't become transcendence. It becomes like that, right? Makes sense, no?
Yeah. And for us, it's okay. Like when we are doing like when we speak with connected, somebody else is doing. The tendency is that okay, they are also coming to the but they are not. That's the right reason to see.
No, it can be. So we can help them also to connect it like that. Like for example, it is said that many in South India, many Vaishnavas, what they did is, if someone had Devata temples, they just encourage that pujari to have a Shaligram Shila also. Then that Avidhi Purvakam thing gets sorted out. So they were saying, okay, you want your main Devata only in the temple, no problem. You can have Shiva, Muruga, whoever. But just keep some Shaligram also and offer initially to him, and then you do whatever you want. Just see that connection, that this Devata is connected to Vishnu. Then it becomes complete. So this is the work of a Vaishnava, to connect everybody to Krishna. Okay, so let him do his Griha Shanti or Navagraha Shanti or whatever. But as he is doing it, just also remind him that the center of the Navagraha, the Lord of the Navagraha is Sri Vishnu. So that, as Vaishnavas, we have all right to remember. Correct, no? Yeah.
Really, this Ananda Chintayan, these stories which we hear, what mood should we hear? Like, why these things happen that people go to the different extremes? Either they.
No, we hear it in the mood that Krishna is basically saying that, see, if you see the text itself, that for ordinary people, you connect to all these things in the world and see me in that. See me in your matritva of your mother, see me in the pitritva of your father, see me in the medicine, see me in the jewel, see me in the mantra, everything. But if somebody is overwhelmingly saturated in feelings of devotional service and he has no time or no inclination to any of it, Krishna is saying, I will do it for you. Krishna is saying, and he does it. But honestly speaking, no devotee becomes arrogant to think that Krishna will do it for me. So that is also there. Nobody is supposed to become arrogant. Like even in the story of Madhavendra Puri, he wasn't expecting that Krishna will come and give him. It is just that he was chanting. He lost count of his chanting. He was lost in his japa. He forgot that there is something called Mahaprasad we also have to say after stopping my chanting. He just forgot all that.
We need to see that as a depict the greatness of the.
The greatness of the Bhakti. An example. Any other point? We're good to go ahead. Okay, good. So now, okay, last one. Yeah. Okay, good point. Good point. So how I would see that is, see that matritva, or like, okay, we'll take some more examples. Like about a woman, Krishna is mentioning 7 qualities. Na? I am the fine speech. So many things he says about woman. Correct? So similarly about mother, father. Generally, that if they are situated correctly only, they become a transparent via media for that matritva to come down. Okay, for example, there are many ladies who may not be obeying matritva, right? They just abort the baby and they just don't want only the child. So they are not obeying matritva actually. Okay, so they can become a, so they are becoming, they are allowing themselves to become a transparent via medium, right? When they are following dharma properly, then only the correct spirit of matratva or by food or everything is flowing through that person, correct? So what is flowing through that person is Krishna. That is accepted. But then they have to be a dharmic via media na, for that. If they are a dharmic person, then it will not flow only. Are you getting the point? So it doesn't happen. So if you see in the Western world, during this, I think one class we were talking about this also. 85% of the black Americans, na, they grow up without a father. Without a father. मतलब बाप ही नहीं उनके जीवन में सिंगल मदर है 85% of the black population in America Afro Americans. It just tells you how terrible that situation is, correct? So they are somehow not fortunate only to experience that dharmic pitritva. I mean, the percentage is not small. I mean, this is like phenomenal. It is like 6 out of 7 don't experience any pitritva in their life. I mean, they don't see a father. That's one reason why they say also that many times in our movement also many people feel more comfortable with a woman Diksha Guru because they have not seen a man example in life. Father to tha hi nahi. School mein teacher is also woman only, mother only, single mother. So a right male example is not seen only in life. So it becomes even. So are you understanding the point? So I think that's why we have to be grateful that they were a proper transparent medium to show the right Krishna through them. Makes sense, man? Perfect. Yes. So the best of that represents Krishna. See, that is 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna saying? Daityanam prahaladosmi. Right? In everything, the best of that category is representing Krishna, right? Are you getting the point? No? So yes, they may have their own weakness. Sometimes they may not show the right kind of a thing. Like Krishna says, among women, I'm fine speech and so many things. But sometimes women may not be doing fine speech. She may be doing some other speech. But those things which Krishna is talking about as what he is representing, he is represented by in a woman. Most of the time they would show that. Sometimes they may become overwhelmed by their own situation. They may not be able to depict that quality. But then that's fine. That's understandable. Because they are also humans. Yep.
And this is and the involvement of Krishna personally in your life. So can you explain what is the involvement of Krishna in the life of Sadhaka? Do you understand the laws are acting? Is it the laws are acting of how you how Krishna is personally involved? Because when you tell this to a new person, what is the pilot of spirituality? The problem was saying I only have to do all the laws. What is the point of and how we know that Krishna is personally involved in our life? To what degree? What is that personal involvement of?
Okay, see, 2-3 things. One is when you start becoming a sadhaka, when you start following, not even a sadhaka as a bhakta sadhaka, in general, if you follow a yogic regime, any of the yogas, if you take bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, whatever, ashtanga yoga, that discipline, that particular lifestyle, which generally promotes sattvikta in your system, it clears your consciousness a lot. Correct? You start, that means you don't do many things or you don't invite so many situations which otherwise you would have. Like all of us here. Because we are doing our sadhana, there is a particular level of sanity in your system, right? And because of that sanity, you invite certain types of reactions or things in your life, which otherwise you wouldn't have. Okay. Are you getting it? So you're chanting the holy name in the morning and you're doing your work. So maybe some things which you would have done if you were not a sadhaka, you may have not done it like that. You may have fallen into more trouble. So that is why the sadhana partner is important. The yoga sadhana is important for anybody. Forget the afterlife benefit. Somebody may say, I don't want to accept that. That is so there only. If you don't want to accept that also, even in this life, that benefit is there. The clarity of consciousness is there very much there. And that is the mercy of Krishna only. Because of Krishna only your Chetana is clear, because of which you are able to take maybe a right decision, which you would have never done otherwise. So that's one way you can start.
So in some cases, I feel very well if I feel more
It's,
or less-
it's very nice to feel like that. There's absolutely no issue with that.
Yeah. So that feeling again that level.
That's fine. That feeling is fine. But then when you make it into a very action oriented thing where you say that, even if I didn't do, I would expect that to happen, then the problem starts coming at a particular point only. Yeah. Otherwise, it's okay. Otherwise, normally devotee, everything we are feeling Krishna's mercy only, and that is perfectly fine to always think like that. Okay. This is the last part we will take. Not much, I think. Just keep it another 20, half an hour. Yeah. So what we are going to do now, so this is Sripad Ramanujacharya's commentary. We are going to elaborate this to a great extent later, but I'm just giving a summary of this right now. In the 8th chapter, attaining the supreme, correct? If you have all read 8th chapter, you may know that Arjuna has asked some questions in 8th chapter, verse 1. Krishna answers that 3-4 verses, and then Krishna goes on into a long speech. About so many things he's talking, correct? Somebody may wonder, what is all this to do with attaining the supreme? So Ramanujacharya, he has given a very brilliant commentary. We will analyze this commentary later when we do verse by verse. What he has basically done, in the 7th chapter, Krishna has spoken about 4 types of people who come to him, right? Artho, Jignasur, Artharthi, Jnani, cha Bharatarshava. If you know that verse, 7.60, Bhagavad Gita. He has classified that into 3 categories. Okay. This Artho and Artharthi, he has classified it into Aishwarya Arti. Aishwarya Arti means those who want Aishwarya from the Lord. Okay. Aishwarya Arti. This Jignasu is there, is classified it as Kaivalya Arti. He wants Kaivalya Moksha. Uske liye wo aaya. And third is the Jnani who is there, he talks about him as Bhagavan Labharti. That Jnani of the 7.16, please remember, he is not the Jnana Yoga Wala Jnani. Please try to understand that. Even if you look at Prabhupada's Gita also, that Jnani is someone who has come to the Lord out of understanding. Correct? That means he has become a Bhakta due to understanding Krishna. समझ गए ना? भगवान के बारे में समझ के वो भक्त बन गया हो. But he is a Bhakta only. He is not, if you see, Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukte Eka Bhakti Vishishyate. From the Jnani only, Krishna talks about him as Bhakta later. Correct? Are you getting it? Ramacharya, what he does is, he says there are these 3 types of people who come to Krishna. Okay. One is who wants Aishwarya, one is who wants Kaivalya, one who wants Bhagavan himself. So then what he says is full 8th chapter from word by word. It's a brilliant commentary actually. Baladev also talks in the same lines only. I'm not going into verse by verse today. I'm just giving a big picture of it. It is very interesting because, simultaneously this part is addressing so many facts of yoga and at the same time the feeling of the devotee also. It's like brilliant. So I'll just start with this point. So Ramanuja starts by talking about this 5th verse itself. Antakale cha mameva smaran kutva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastatra samsheva. Where Krishna says he attains my bhava, right? Are you understanding what Krishna is saying? He attains my nature, he says. Bhava, mera bhav attain karta hai. So what is this bhava? So Ramanuja says that, see, if somebody did worship of the Lord, thinking about the Lord's opulence constantly, with the consciousness that I want such opulence like the Lord, then he says you will get it. Okay? That is the first. Are you getting the point? If you worship the Lord, and we will come to the verses where Krishna talks about it. I mean, if you worship the Lord, if you quit your body, thinking about the opulence of the Lord and thinking that I also desire that, then you will get it. But only thing you'll be stuck in the 3 words. But you will get it. And if you worship the Lord thinking about those attributes of the Lord which are related to Kaivalya Moksha, you will get Kaivalya Moksha. Okay, we will see in Gita where Krishna says all this. And if you worship the Lord thinking about his eternal qualities and thinking that I want to be in his personal association, then he says Krishna will take you back to the spiritual world. Okay, that he says Vaikuntha, Goloka, however you want to look at it. Okay, so that means you will go there. Okay. So then what he does is that full 8th chapter he explains like that, right? So for example, he says from 8.8 onwards. Now we are going to quickly go over the verses because I'm going to do this very briefly today. We are going to look at it in great depth some other time. So he says so there are 3 sections in the 8th chapter which he defines. From verse number 8 to verse number 14, he says he talks about how you think about Krishna. That means 8 to 10 is about Aishwaryarti, how he thinks about Krishna. 11 to 13 is about Kaivalyarti, how he thinks about Krishna. And 14 is about Bhagavat Labharti, that means who wants Krishna personally, how he thinks about Krishna. And that's why, if you see the verses, it can be very confusing if you forget to do this. Okay, so I'll start with the Bhagavat Labharti first, because then you will understand that. So 8.14 is Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yoginaha. Very famous verse, 8.14. This verse, if you hear this verse, that's very clearly talking about the devotee. Correct? That third category. Because what is Krishna saying? Ananya Cheta Satatam. Always. Yomam Smarati Nityashaha Tasyaham Sulabha Partha. Very easy. Nitya Yuktasya. Nitya Yuktasya means, the translation is he wants to be with me. That means this devotee who is there, na bhakta, वो चाहता है कि मैं भगवान के साथ रहूं. And that is how he is thinking about Krishna in his worship. So what will happen? Krishna is saying, Tasyam Sulabha Partha. He'll come back to me very easily. Okay, this is about the devotee. But then 3 verses before that, if you see carefully, Krishna is not talking about that. Krishna is talking about something else only. I'll read the verses. 11 if you see. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Vishanti Yad Yatayo Vitaraga Yadichanko Brahmacharyam Charanti Tatte Padam Sangrahenam Pravache. Krishna is saying that one who utters the Pranava, Omkara, okay, one who follows celibacy, so Yadaksharam, that means one who is Aksharam actually is here, the Pranava, Omkara. So this is all related to which one? It is related to the Lord in the impersonal feature. Are you getting it now? And then look at the next verse. Sarva Dwarani Sayyamya Mano Hridi Nirudyacha. That means he has controlled all his senses, shut everything up, fixed in yoga. Then what Krishna says, Om Ityekaksharam Brahma Vyaharam Ma Manusmaran Yaprayati Tyajam Deham Sayadi Paramam Gati. He recites the Omkara and is thinking about the Supreme Lord as that Akshara, non-changeable entity. Such a person, Krishna says, Krishna doesn't say he attains me. What he says, Yanti Paramam Gati. He goes to the Param Gati. So these 3 verses, 11 to 13, Ramanuja says, this Krishna is talking about whom? That Kaivalyarti. वो जो जिज्ञासु वाला था ना 7th chapter 16th verse में, correct? Remember, there only we had classified 3 categories. He's saying he's talking about that guy now. That person goes there. Because the devotee is not going to chant all this. No? He's not going to think about Omkar. He's not going to think about Brahman. He's not going to do that. Okay, so this verse is talking about that. So this whole attaining the Supreme, he splits it into these 3 categories of people. Okay, so here see the beauty is, it is so factual based also, as in what you are aspiring for. You are worshipping the same Krishna or the same Supreme Lord, but you have a particular feeling or a particular thought about him, and that is prominent in your Chetana, you go there. That's it. All are worshipping Krishna only. Now, if you come back to 8.8 to 8.10, he says these verses are talking about that Aishwaryarti. Okay. Look at those verses. Kavim Puranam Manusha Sitaram Anoraniya Manusmaredya Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. So these verses now are talking about the mystic opulences of the Lord. Anoraniya, he's very tiny. He can become smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Then Tamasah Parastat, he is so if you see all those verses now, I'll go into words by word later, and their understanding here. Sarvasya Dhata, he's holding all the universes together. So these verses na prayana kale manasa chalena bhakta yukto yoga balena. This person is also practicing bhakti. Remember, Dhruor madhye pranamaveshi samyak satam param purusham upaiti divyam. This person also, when he dies, he brings his life hair in between his eyebrows and he quits. Okay, he's a yogi. If you see Prabhupada's purport, he talks about him as a yogi. This yogi is a yogi who has got attracted to the opulences of the Lord. Bhagavan ka opulence ke saath attracted. And he's desiring opulences like that only. He wants all these mystics in these and all that, correct? Na? Isliye Anoraniya and ye sab aaya hai. Again, if you see the Bhagavat Labharti who wants to go to the spiritual world, he is not interested in this Siddhi and all that, correct? He's not, his mind is different. So this person is interested in all this. Because he's interested in all this, he says he gets that. He gets unlimited opulences. In fact, Ramanujara's commentary, his opulences are even higher than all these devatas also. उनसे ऊपर वाला opulences मिलता है. So I was just thinking, if you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you will read that after Brahmaloka, when this Gopakumar goes in the coverings of the universe, in every covering, there are extreme opulences are mentioned. And there are so many devotees that who are ecstatic there. Everything is very nice. Only problem is what? That whole thing is Shashwat. When the universe is destroyed, that is also destroyed. No, matlab,
Sorry, sir.
it is temporary. It is not eternal. That is the only problem. Otherwise, everything is good.
So this
And they are devotee also. Correct? So here he talks about that. We will go into these verses later. So this is the first part, 8.8 to 14. Then 15 onwards, Ramanuja says he's talking about 15 to 21. Yeah, what's your question?
the first two which you are saying Kevalya and this is not final. I mean, animal is final.
Final means?
Final means the ultimate
You don't touch
destination
first,
which
first you don't touch. First you don't touch.
Aishwarya.
I told about the devotee only. I told in reverse. I told.
That's what. So I'm just asking. In this three, the last one is only the
Spiritual world.
Spiritual world
Yeah.
means other two
And
will
other
come
one, no,
eventually.
Kaivalya doesn't, na? He goes to Brahman.
Yeah,
That is also
so, but
considered
ultimately
eternal.
he will go further and
Yeah, that is different.
same with the
But that
first
is
one.
considered, he's not going to come back.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, see, so that is a Falashruti. So that is why Ramanuja says from 15th verse onwards, na, Krishna is talking Falashruti. What is a Falashruti? That's why Mamupetya Punarjanma Dukkhale Mashashvatam. All that verses, Krishna is talking about whom? That Bhagavan Laparthi and that Kaivalya. So such a person, he doesn't have to come back. So who has to come back? That Aishwarya fellow has to come back. And that is the problem. That is why Krishna talks from 17, 18, 19, Sahasra Yuga Paryanta, Maharya Prabhu. He's saying, na, पूरा universe destroy हो जाता है, तुम्हारा opulence खत्म हो गया तभी. तुम कहीं पर भी हो, even if you are situated higher than Brahma, it's all gone. You have to come back, right? You have to come back to this world. Correct? Yeah, but the Jigyashu is always connected to, we will see that later, but Jigyashu is connected to this one. Jigyashu is connected to Kaivalya, because that person is inquisitive about Brahman, about Atma. He's inquisitive about Atma. He is not attracted to the personal form of the Lord. He's just inquisitive about the Atma. He starts as a Jignasu, but his destination is that only. If you see carefully, he goes in that line. If he stays there, okay, now one thing is here that anybody can get upgraded. At any point of time, then Aishwarya Arati is thinking Aishwarya, at one point of time, you think, my God, I don't want to get stuck. I want to go back to Godhead. But finished. One switch, he's gone now. He's going somewhere else soon. Okay, so I mean, the feeling is also so important. That's why I'm taking this part. Yeah.
Aishwarya Arati. I mean, that he also is coming to Quran. It's like a lot of feeling for the Lord. Is it like why such a feeling of two things are separate. One is that focusing on the Aishwarya of the Lord, second is desiring for Aishwarya.
Yeah, they are slightly different things. Here we are talking about those who are desiring that Aishwarya. I want all this anima, magima, prapti, all siddhis I want joy. Then you have to be in the world only, na? Just stuck here. Then, so that's what, na? So 20, 21, all is about that only. If you see again, na, we will go into these verses later. And, so 15 to 21, he says is about Falashruti. Who comes back, who doesn't come back. And that is why, in that section only Krishna is saying, Parastasmatu bhavo vyakto vyakta sanatana. There is another world which is transcendental, eternal. That is including Brahma Jyoti and spiritual world both. But in 22, 8.22 is talking about his own world. Purushasya parapartha bhaktya labhayastu ananyaya. That means the bhakti, the world that you attain. And then this last part of the chapter is brilliant again. So Ramanuja, what he says, the last part is, that Pura, if you have read 8th chapter, you will recall, there he says about those who pass away during the light, auspicious moment of the day, during waxing moon, they don't come back, others come back. All of you remember reading 8th chapter Gita like that. So here what he says is, he says that This kala which is being mentioned here, na, he says, don't look at it as kala, look at it as marga. Okay, so actually, later only when I was reading the purport of Prabhupada also, he says, I'm just reading from the purport, when fire, light, day and fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them, there are various presiding deities who make arrangement for the passage of the soul. Okay, this is Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary, which is most likely coming from what Ramanuja says only. So what these people say here is, they say that these things which are said, na, light and all that, don't look at it as kala, look at it as marga. That means these are all devatas. Okay, so there is something called Archis Marga. Archis Marga, you may have heard about it. Archis Marga is the Marga back to Godhead. That Archis Marga starts with light. Light, when they say, it doesn't mean light matlab din dahade. What it means is, it means the devata presiding over it. Are you understand? There is a devata presiding over Agni. That devata as a planet. Are you understanding? So the person who's going back to Godhead passes through that path of Archis Marga, where he passes through those planets and goes up. And there is another path which Krishna says Dhumadi Marga. Dhumadi Marga means there is another mark where you come back. That Marga is about whom? That Aishwarya guy who wanted all these opulences. He goes through that, enjoys everything and comes back here. That is not talking about the sinful guy. Please remember that Dhumadi Marga is not talking. For him, there is Yama Marga. That is a completely different Marga only. So there is Archis Marga for those going back to Godhead. Dhumadi Marga for those who are going to enjoy opulences and come back to the world. And then there is Yama Marga, which Krishna is not speaking only in the Gita. Oh, he had a topic in English. Okay, so this is how that entire chapter has been explained. In fact, I've just given a very, very brief 15-minute overview of it. When we go into all the verses now, one by one, for each word, there is a phenomenal explanation given. And then you actually start understanding. So why I'm saying this is, in Gita also, when Krishna talks about death and destinations, he's being so real about it. He's talking about facts. He's talking about the consciousness of the person. Have you reached that place? Then only you are going to go somewhere. Simply like that, you don't go, right? So for all these people, there is a lot expected from them. So correct. Even that Kaivalya Prabhu, even that guy who wants opulences, correct? Even for him, he has to be completely fixed in yoga. He has to practice Ramanujacharya says the entire 6th chapter Gita perfectly, where he's able to sit in yoga, he says, for at least 2 hours daily, focused on the Lord like that. Then only you're going to get those opulences. It's not simple to get it. So that is how. And that other person also, that Kaivalya who wants Brahman, even he has to practice yoga, but his meditation is different. He is thinking of the Lord as that transcendent Brahman which he wants to attain. So that is the bhava. So Krishna says, 8.5, that bhava you will attain. That bhava, he says, is nature. So if you are thinking about my opulences, sit in the world in some place with opulences. You are thinking about me as Brahmajyoti, come to Brahmajyoti and sit there. You are thinking about me in my personal form in the spiritual world, come to me and enjoy with me. Okay, so this is how he says Krishna is presenting entire 8th chapter, completely connected with the previous 6th chapter. You understood, na? 6th chapter was Dhyana Yoga. वहाँ जो भी बताया भगवान ने वो फॉलो करना पड़ेगा इसके लिए, at least for those people, right? For everyone. Only then you come to that. So basically, one thing we also understand, and in the last point I'm making, one thing what we understand in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita is making, again, it's such a book of options if you see. The greatness of Krishna, right? We generally say, Gita is a book of where Krishna has put a buffet, right? And if you remember, we have spoken about 12th chapter. We all know, 12th chapter, Krishna is saying either do bhakti, this. And remember, once I spoke from the 2nd chapter Gita, there also Krishna speaks about Sthita Prajna. I think I've spoken about this here once before. 4 types of Sthita Prajna Krishna speaks, right? 2.55, 56, 57, 58. We have discussed that in great detail in one of our earlier classes. That means the Sthita Prajna can be at the level of Prahlad. Sthita Prajna can be where Dukkeshwarat Vignamana. You understand Sukha Dukkha. Sthita Prajna can be Yes Sarvatra and Abhisnehas Tattat Prape Subhasubhan. That means too much happiness, too much distress there. Ati. And Siddha Prajna can be at the level of that Kurmungani va sarveshah, Indriya and Indriya status tasya prajna pratishtita. So about Jnani, Krishna has given 4 levels. About Yogi in the 6th chapter we have spoken. 6.29, 30, 31, 32. Krishna talks about 4 levels of yogis. That highest level of yogi is a very high level that Krishna says. One who sees samatvam in sukha dukkha. If you remember, we have spoken about this also once. Samatvam. 4 types of samatvam. And here Krishna is speaking about 3 types of going back to the of quitting the body. Okay, so if you see the full Gita, na, Krishna is not forcing anything in a very faith-centric way. That is why, coming back to my earlier point, some people say that, don't look at it too much as a religious book. Because this word religion, in the modern world, it is like a dogma where just one thing is being pumped into your system. Whereas Gita is clearly not like that. At least we have only seen 4 examples. 2nd chapter, 6th chapter, 8th chapter, 12th chapter. Time and again, Krishna is extremely magnanimous in his presentation. Though he knows clearly that if the living entity comes back to him, that's the highest. But can you imagine? He's allowing him to go to Brahman also. Those verses which are there, Om Ityekaksharam Brahma. Saying, come on, you want that? Go there. Krishna is saying. But so it is, that's the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita. Right? Yeah. Haribo. Any question? Any final question? We'll take questions and then Prasad. Yeah.
This is about devotional service in different modes. That's different.
Bhagavatam talks about devotional service in different
mode of ignorance.
Yeah. So
That is different. It's not connected.
no, it's not connected. Krishna is speaking modes of nature, but Krishna has not classified bhakti in that sense. But he has given the seed of that by saying faith also can be in 3 modes, but he has not expanded that concept too much. No, but that is nothing to do with this 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita. No.
And when somebody is worshipping Krishna, he can still be focused on Brahman.
Yeah, that is what he's saying here. Yeah. That we see the beauty. See, one may say, I can get Brahman without thinking of Krishna. You can get. But the Acharyas, what they explain is the advantage of thinking about Krishna, even if you're interested in Brahman, is that suddenly if your mind changes, you can go to the spiritual world easily. But the other guy who is there, so please try to understand, that commentary is given. That means somebody may say, can't I get opulences without thinking about Krishna? You can get. But the advantage of this process, which is being said here, because Krishna has said, people come to me for opulence. Okay, Krishna says, you want opulence, you can get it. Do this method. You can come to the loka where there is a lot of opulence. The advantage is, at some point of time, if you get attracted to pure devotion service, then you can escape this. And that Krishna also does that. That is why Krishna is saying, Brahma, Bhuvana, Loka and all that. Krishna is reminding that, hey, look, you can get opulences, but you have to come back to this world. Dhumadi Marga, you have to come back here. So somebody may say, okay, then Krishna says, fine. If that's what you want, do it. But then if somebody changes his mind, he can change his mind also. No? He can begin from that and then come here. Whereas Krishna said, you can't upgrade your consciousness. Yeah, Krishna is saying all over that. I think Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary is there. He says that because Krishna feels that his Swadharma is fulfilled. Krishna's Swadharma as the Lord is to give things to people. So he's saying, if nobody comes to me, how can I give anything? So his Swadharma is to give. He's the Lord, na? Bade aadmi ka kya khasiyat hai? He wants to keep giving. Chalo, ye lo, Raja, ye necklace leke deta hai, lo. So somebody goes there, na? So that is why he's calling them Udar. So Baladev Vidyabhushan writes like that. Many ways to see. Yeah. No, once again, from Bhakti it is simple only. That 8.14 that we read, what does Krishna say? Sulabha Partha. Ramanujacharya says, among all the 3, this fairness path is the most Sulabha. Sulabha means what? Easy. Devotee's path is easy only, that is accepted. The other path is considered technically more difficult. The reward may be less, but the path is more difficult. But the Bhakti path is always considered Sulabha only. That's why, Sulabha Partha. that first word comes na 8.14. Tasyaham sulabha partha nitya. Bhakti part is always considered easy. Yeah, go ahead anyway. You know, Krishna is saying Jnani is the best. 7.17 Krishna says na Yesham Jnani Nitya Yukta. Among all Jnani is the best. Krishna is saying. How can we think Jignasu is the best? Who? No, the Jignasu is considered Jignasu is inquisitive about Brahman. It is not. See, even a person who comes initially as Jigna, you can migrate to Jnani and Bhakta platform. Na? Where are we saying you're stuck in that only? Yeah, it is. Krishna himself has said in Gita, in immediately 7. Artho, Artharthi, Jignasu, Jnani. Artho, Artharthi are material opulences. Jignasu is above them. And Jnani is above Shrestha to all of them. So Jnani becomes the Bhakta, na? Krishna is saying. Among all the before, Jnani is the best, Krishna has said. Yeah, any other question coming? Go ahead. Okay, we have 5 minutes. We started later. Okay, anyone else has anything else related to what we spoke or asked?
Just continue with the last question for that very easy. I just chanting and following the But I think understanding this Bhagavad Gita, and as you were saying, that you cannot become familiar by understanding Bhagavad Gita in this way. Is that I think the main benefit of understanding Bhagavad Gita? Because without this understanding, there are high chances that because a simple path, we can get frustrated, like you say, get into a lot of feelings.
Yeah, see, I think also, na, I like, see, first of all, the Bhagavad Gita, so many commentaries are written. And one purpose, and there is a conversation of Prabhupada only in 1977, where he's asked after Bhagavatam, what do you want to do? Prabhupada says, I want to write Bhagavad Gita again. They said, you have already written Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says, so many Gitas are there. I have written one. I can take Ramanuja commentary and write, he says. This happens in Mayapur, 77. So basically, I mean, the Gita is like a gold mine, and devotee is interested to remove lessons from that. First thing. Second thing is, though we may have our practice, which we wish to do, we are also, please remember, using Gita as a preaching tool to reach out to people. Okay, and in that thing, you can make Gita relevant to different types of people, because Gita offers that broad spectrum. Are you getting it? Now, some devotee has asked me to do a course which I'm doing online next month. Gita for managers in corporate life. ऐसा कुछ तो एक devotee ने बोला है मेरे को course बनाने का. So I'm trying to make that and see, because it is there, right? So many concepts. You start with duality and all that. It is useful for manager as well. So you can see how Gita is applicable to you, because it's a Vyavahara Shastra also. Okay. So though individually you may be interested in chanting 16 rounds and going back to Godhead, that part is fine with you. But then you can also use the principles of Gita to connect to different types of people, and they may come attracted to the Gita, and who knows, they will get attracted to step 1 and later come to step 2, step 3, step 4. The Gita will only evolve them. Why should we worry like that? Makes sense. Okay, last one. Temporary.
They get over at some point. Problem of material time frame. So start with that eternity perspective, like time scale at which you operate. suddenly everything changes because they have identified the body. They are looking into the 700 or 10,000 years of life. In that duration, whatever is important, we can do it. Suddenly, if we change their effect, very small thing. Then, from the perspective of eternity, whatever makes sense is actually of the highest level. The whole problem of material existence is that because of having lost the information and knowledge about our identity, our time is different. If you bring it back, suddenly things that are lesser important will be lesser important will be lesser. So it's just correct. Is this understanding correct?
It is, but also we have to see again, we have to be careful about this. This understanding shouldn't make us feel. See again, no. See, one second, I'll just answer that first, and then if that satisfies you, then I'll repeat the question. What I understood is, see, he's talking about the two time scales. See, there is an eternal time scale and there is a temporary time scale. Correct. So when we are in the world of temporary time scale, we have a particular set of thoughts, aspirations, destinations, know what is important. But when you have an eternal time scale, then that becomes completely different. Are you getting it now? But see, again, the beauty of the Gita is, even though it is talking about the eternal time scale, it is not minimizing your whole importance of contribution in the temporary time scale. Are you getting it now? That is not being done at all. See, that's Krishna's hammering of Swadharma concept, which has not left it out. But that is for this world only of 60, 70 years. Arey, come on, your eternal soul, this, that. Why hammer so much on this? Correct, na? Yeah, see, that's the beauty. See, which people have not understood. I'll tell you, I remember for my children, I was using a series of books by, I think it was an Italian author, Charles Kovacs, the Westerner. He starts, everything about Western world he has said very nicely. About Indian world, he only says one thing, that these people were more interested in the afterlife. He keeps saying that point again and again. I was feeling very sad when I read that, because that's not the reality. The Gita is not only interested in afterlife. So though we are knowing about the eternal time scale, we have not forgotten the importance of contribution in the temporary time scale. If that was not there, then why make Arjuna fight, man? We are coming back to that same question. Just for 36 years, you are doing all this. Any of our devotee in that position also would have said, Chodo do Bhagavan, 90 saal ho gaya, kahan ek karte baithega? Chodo. I'll peacefully chant and sit somewhere. Kahan ek Kshatriya dute karte baithega? What a torture it is. Nobody would have done that. You're getting the point. So see, that's the beauty. It is managing both. That eternal time scale has not made you cancel the, even though it is temporary time scale, your contribution has not been minimized in that. Because you're leaving a legacy.
This existence is temporary, not false.
Yeah. So that can never be forgotten. And that's why Krishna, right from beginning to end, it has said, yes.
And Anand,
We want to achieve some goal after 2-3 lifetimes.
It is. I'll tell you why. It is. You're right. I'll tell you why. I had this question with, we were discussing this point with someone. So please try to understand, your subtle body comes with you to your next life. Yes or no? Subtle body means what? Your aspirations come with you to your next life. Subtle body is comprising of all that, your aspirations, your general thought processes, they come with you. All you're living is only the gross body you're living. You look at all the reincarnation cases. They have the same thought process, same habits, same likings they have in the next life. Or reincarnation cases mein aise hi aata hai actually. That fellow in the next life, uska thought pattern waise hi hai. He's continuing. If you cultivate something, that's why I'll tell you, even if somebody is very elderly, just imagine somebody is 70 or something, and he says that he wants to cultivate some particular, some particular talent or something, skill or something, with this mental orientation. Are you going to discourage him for that? No, you tell him, he will do bhakti whatever he can do, right? The remaining time he has to engage his mind like that. Because he's preparing now for his next life subtle body. वो भी prepare हो रहा है ना साथ साथ में. we generally see, please remember that's Neha Vikama Nasusti verse. Now, please remember Ramanacharya explained Neha Vikama Nasusti is not only applicable to Bhakti Yoga, it is applicable to Karma Yoga also. He says. It's applicable to Karma Yoga also. You do Karma Yoga, Neha Vikama Nasusti, that's not destroyed. It's going to come with you to the next life. So basically, only thing the gross things na they end. वो तो दिखाई देता है ना. You accumulated the huge 10 BHK or whatever you made palace. वो तो गया ना मृत्यु के साथ. Yeah.
And tell the reason why she's
You
asking.
don't have to give purport to her. The later you
No,
can.
it will help understand very specific. I was very eager. I was just telling her that in the next life, since I could not serve in the armed forces in this life, I want to come back and serve in Indian armed
Arey
forces.
wow, arey wow. The cat is out of the bag. So
You can ask her. That's why she's asking.
no, no,
So
that's
this is a
fine.
very specific example.
No, that's good.
So as a devotee, why to have such feelings? Pradhan Mantri Modi, he may get Rahul Gandhi.
अरे Krishna has given confidence. I will give you. The yogi को Krishna कितना confidence दे रहे 6th chapter गीता में. I will put him in favorable situation. Krishna is saying. भक्त लोग हमेशा रहेंगे ना माता जी.
Also, we cannot force certain things, right?
हाँ, you cannot force. See,
Yes,
that's another thing. See, the Gita na allows an organic growth of an individual. You have to see that is Gita's general psychology. You know, as devotees, we may be in hurry saying that अभी कोई मर रहा है, literally, everybody with bumper is howling the, names of God next to his ear so that he hears. लेकिन उसका चेतना आना चाहिए ना बेचारा उधर टाइप को. वो सोच रहा है कि मेरे को ये कर लेगा नेक्स्ट टाइम पे. तुम कितना भी बड़ा बम्पर लेके कीर्तन करो, वो उसको आने का ही है वापस. Are you getting it? See, it's a very individual driven, na, this thing. So Krishna is not in any hurry. See, that's another thing we understand in the Gita. See, we may, out of our good intention, be in a hurry. Back, get up. Person will think,
World needs you. समाज कल्याण के लिए आएंगे.
I mean, honestly, I have also similar discussions with my wife. I keep telling her many times, next time I want to learn Carnatic music nicely. And we have musicians, this time I couldn't do it. She says that Abhi se shuru karo learning. Finish this desire off. Very similar advice she has given me. But somehow my voice only is not good. Though I love to hear Carnatic music, I don't have an ability to sing. So take that.
So they can defend.
We will meet somewhere. I'll give sing. With a machine gun. Okay, fine.
In his question, you are asking me the person who is aspiring for Brahman, he thinks that is eternal. He doesn't change.
That's his reference.
No, Brahman is eternal only. Brahman is eternal.
First and second.
First is the Artha
Okay,
Artha. For temporary.
Okay, so he doesn't know that he is going to.
He knows, but he wants that.
Aishwarya.
Who is that? Prabhuji, I tell you, you read that Bhagavad chapter is there when the Gopakumar crosses Brahmaloka and goes to these planets of opulence. He's saying such opulence I've never seen only. I mean, there are some few verses that describe that opulence. Amazing. Somebody may want to experience that. Yeah. So, and we say, see, that's a statement. Sometimes we're repeating the prayers of an acharya, right? Like Mahaprabhu said, "Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari." बोलते हैं हम, लेकिन 10 बजे स्टॉक मार्केट खुला तो बैठ जाते हैं देखने के लिए, मैं क्या बेचूं, क्या करूं, तो धर्म चाहिए, घर में है सुंदरी, दिस दैट, ऑल दैट इज देयर ओनली. मतलब वी आर नॉट.
That is not yet that strong.
From intense.
सबके डिजायर पता चल रहे हैं. नहीं, yeah, I got it. See, your point is what? That the desire is there, but it's not too strong. Ate is happy with it. See, one thing I know for sure from what Gita says, you have to be very clear that you want to go back, only then you go back. If you have any doubts, little bit also, you have to stay on. Krishna is not in a hurry in that aspect. That is very clear in the Gita. Krishna has never said that if you have even, little aspiration, you want to do something, Krishna will allow that person to contribute in the world. That's my understanding. He is not going to just forcibly take that guy out. Because if he himself wants to be here and do something, Krishna is not in a hurry. That's the basic understanding I have. Yeah, but he has to feel like that.
He's not attached to mundane music. If somebody is focusing on mundane music, then
No, that is very difficult to distinguish also between mundane and this thing.
if he's only attached to spiritual, then definitely he'll go back to God and
How can music be distinguished?
Yeah, that's what. That's my fundamental question. But we'll keep it for the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur
Prabhuji, Hari Bol.
Jai Gaur Premanande,
Hari Bol.
So we will
Hare Krishna.
end the meeting. Yeah, yeah.